So today's lesson is 9-7, which is proportions. Your warm-up, which is also your homework, the WB7. This is what, this gave you an idea of what we're working on today, okay? So, a proportion. A proportion is an equation stating that two ratios are equivalent. What's a ratio? Good. So, ratios are a comparison. And how did we write those comparisons? When we were doing calculations on them, how did we write them? We wrote them as a fraction. Very good. So ratios are fractions. So this says an equation, and of course an equation has an equal sign, right? Has an equal sign. An equation stating that two ratios or fractions are equivalent. Is everyone with me? So that's like saying 2/4 is equal to 1/2. Is everybody clear with that? This is a proportion. Those are two ratios in an equation stating that they are equal. All right, example 1 says solve problems involving proportions. It says a scientist studying hummingbirds recorded that a hummingbird took 6,250 breaths over a period of 25 minutes. Assuming at constant rate, how many breaths per minute did the hummingbird take? Okay, so what is the important information that we want to write down? What's my first ratio? Yes?
3 over a period of 25 minutes.
Right, so this many breaths over that many minutes. Okay, and what are we looking for?
How many breaths per minute did the hummingbird take?
Right, how many breaths per minute? And of course that means per 1 minute, right?
Yes.
This is per 1 minute, okay? So that means we want to change it to a unit rate, which is what we looked at last class, right?
Yes.
So let's write our original ratio. So we've got 6,250 breaths over 25 minutes. Okay? And does everybody see that that's a fraction?
Yes.
Something over something, right? And we want this to equal something. We want to know how many breaths, that's what we're looking for, per 1 minute. Is everybody clear with that? So, how do I get from 25 minutes to 1 minute?
Divide by 25 on the numerator and the denominator.
Very good. So we're going to divide by 25 here, and we're going to divide by 25 there. This is how we learned it last class. Okay? So, grab your calculator, and we have 6,250 breaths. So 6,250, we're going to divide that by 25, and that's going to give us 250. Is everybody clear?
Right.
So x, and I'm going to write my answer down below. Let me fix this a second. So x is equal to 250.
Breaths.
Very good. X is equal to 250 breaths. Make sure you label your answer. I would like for you to take maybe 2 minutes to work on example B with your table partners. Okay, so we have, it says Samantha picked 45 oranges in 5 minutes. Assuming a constant rate, how many oranges did she pick in 20 minutes? So the original ratio that we're starting with is 45 oranges, 45 oranges in 5 minutes. Now, we want to know how many oranges, that's the x, that goes up here, how many oranges did she pick in 20 minutes? Is everybody with me? So, how did I get from 5 minutes to 20 minutes?
Times 4.
We multiplied times 4. So that means I want to multiply times 4 up there. So we have 45 times 4, and that gives us 180. So, very good. X is equal to 180 oranges. Is everybody clear? Example 2 is use proportions to solve rate problems. Same thing, but this time it's a new method. Does everybody see this? This time we're using cross multiplication. All right, it says the manager of a small bakery determines that an average of 264 loaves of cinnamon raisin bread are sold every 12 weeks. At this rate, how many loaves of cinnamon bread are sold every 5 weeks? So we want to look to see what is the original ratio?
264 loaves of cinnamon raisin bread.
Right.
To 12 weeks.
Every 12 weeks. And what are we looking for?
How many loaves of cinnamon bread are sold every 5 weeks?
Every 5 weeks. Is everybody with me? Okay. So we're going to write the ratio 264 to 12. So this is 264. And you know what? Before I write the numbers, we're going to write the labels on the outside. So we're going to write loaves on the outside and weeks at the bottom. Okay? And then we're going to set up our proportion. And on this side, it has to be the same. Loaves to weeks. So my first ratio is 264 loaves to 12 weeks. Okay? Now we want to know how many loaves, so there's my X, of cinnamon bread are sold every 5 weeks. Now, we want to get from 12 to 5. Can you get there directly?
No.
No, you cannot. That's the reason why we're going to learn how to do this cross multiplication. Okay? Cross multiplication means that you're going to multiply the numerator of one fraction times the denominator of another. And then you're going to multiply the numerator of the other fraction, and the denominator of the other. Does everybody see how my arrows are written?
Yes.
Okay? So this means, and you guys, when we do cross multiplication, when I do that cross multiplying, I get cross products which are equal. Okay? So on one side, we have 12 times x. 12 times x equals. And on the other side, we're multiplying 264 times 5. Okay? So now, if you want to just go ahead and put the 264 times 5 in your calculator and write that there, you can do that. I'm okay with that. If you feel like you need to write it down, write it down. So we have 264 times 5. That gives us 1,320. So I'm going to go ahead and write 1,320 rather than writing what I multiplied here. Is everybody with me? But you can go ahead and keep that in your notes for now. 1,320. Now, this says 12x equals 1,320. You already know how to solve that equation, don't you? That is a multiplication equation. What's the inverse of multiplication? Division. And if we use our cover-up, what am I going to divide by? 12. Very good. So we are going to divide by 12 on both sides. So now we're going to divide by 12 on both sides. Those 12s on this side cancel, right? 12 divided by 12 is 1. And then 1 times x is x. So here we have x on this side. And then we've got 1,320 divided by 12. And that equals 110. 110 what?
Loaves.
Loaves. L-O-A. Oops, I spelled it wrong. loaves, L-O-A-V, right?
Mm-hmm.
A-V-E-S, of cinnamon bread. Is everybody clear? Does everybody understand the cross multiplication? So there are 810 calories in 3 scoops of vanilla ice cream. So there's my first ratio. At this rate, we want to know how many calories are in 7 scoops of ice cream. Now, you guys, the original ratio is 810 calories. Oh, I'm gonna write my labels on the outside. So calories to scoops, right? Calories to scoops. And then we have calories to scoops. To scoops, okay? So we're going to put the original ratio in there. That's 810 and 3 scoops. And it's asking how many calories. So that's where the X goes, where it says how many, right? So the X goes here. And this is for 7 scoops. Now, again, we're using cross multiplication. Because can you go from 3 to 7 directly?
No.
No, not with a whole number,
But
at
we use
least.
that.
So here we have to use cross multiplication. Okay? So on one side we have x times 3. How do I write x times 3?
3x.
3x
810
equals 810
times 7.
times 7. Okay, so we've got 810 times 7.
5,670.
Beautiful. 5,670. Now, so this is a multiplication equation, okay? So to solve it, we're going to divide. What are we going to divide by?
3.
Very good. So we're going to divide by 3 on both sides. 3 divided by 3, of course, is 1. And 1 times x is x. Very good. And now we just do that division. So that's 5,670 divided by 3. And that gives us 1,890
Calories.
Very good. That is a lot of calories. All right. So, example 3 says Keisha can ride her bike 15 miles in 90 minutes. She wants to ride in a bike-a-thon that consists of 2 trail options. She has a 56-mile trail or a 36-mile trail. At her current rate, how many more miles will it take her to ride 56 miles than 36 miles? So this one is a little bit more, a few more steps to do. Is everybody clear? All right, so work on this one with your table partners, 3 minutes. So our original ratio for both of them is 15 to 90. I have chosen to use cross multiplication. Is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
All right. So we have to do 2 different proportions here. So the first one is for the 56-mile trail. That's 56 miles. Where does 56 go in my proportion?
Miles.
Up here for miles. Is everybody with me? So 56 goes up here, and we're solving for how long it takes to do that. It takes her to go 56 miles. Then, for the second proportion, where does the 36 miles go?
At the top.
At the top. So that's 36 up here, and we're solving for the time. Is everybody clear?
Yes.
Okay? Okay. So, all right. So I went ahead and changed this variable to y just so we could have one for the 56-mile race and one for the 36-mile race. Okay? So now we're going to cross multiply. Is everybody ready? So on one side, does everybody notice that the variable on this proportion was on the bottom?
Yeah.
Whereas at the other one it is at the top?
Yeah.
Does it matter?
No.
No, it does not matter. So here we're going to multiply 56 times 90. That gives us 50,040. So 50,040. On the other side, we have 15 times x. Now, how do I get that x by itself? So yes, we're going to
Divide by 10.
divide by 15. So we'll divide by 15 on both sides. That x, I mean, this 15 divided by 15 is 1, and 1 times x is x. And then over here, we're going to divide that 5,040 divided by 15 also. And that gives us 336. 336 what?
Minutes.
Minutes. 336 minutes. Now, let me finish the other side. Now, over here, we're going to cross multiply again. Cross multiply. And you guys, I want you to make sure you draw your arrows so you know what you're multiplying. Okay? So, on one side, we're going to multiply 36 times 90. And that gives us 3,240. Let me move this over here. So 3,240. So over here, 3,240. And then on the other side, we have 15 times y. 15 times y. How do I get the y by itself?
Divide by 15.
Very good. Divide by 15. Those 15 simplify to 1. They cancel out. And then we've got 3,240 divided by 15.
216.
And that's equal to 216. So y, oops. So y is equal to, what did we say? 216. So 216 minutes. All right? What do I do now?
Subtracting.
Yes. So now we're going to subtract. Let me put some more space in here. Now, we're going to subtract. So we've got, we're subtracting y minus x, right? So y minus x. So that's going to be 336 minus 216. Is everybody with me? So that's 336 minus 216, and that equals
120.
120. 120 what?
A minute.
Minutes. Is that my final answer?
Yes.
No. What is it asking you?
How many more?
How many more hours? So, how many more hours? Very good. So, there are 60 minutes in an hour, right? So, we're going to take this and divide by 60, which gives us 2 hours. Is everybody clear? All right.